Hello, my name's It's Blunty, and this is my website for Russian Fishing 4. For Russian Fishing 4 records, trophy weight information, maps, game information, skill information, gear info, basically everything you need except for like current spot posts and stuff. Currently we're not aggregating that information, but basically everything else you could possibly need. So when you come to the website, you're going to go to rf4records.com or you can go to rf4.fish. Both redirect to this same website here. And here, when you first hit the site, you'll see a big list of all the locations. And this is how you can filter out the records that you might want to check out or visit the map for each location. So very simply, if we wanted to look at winding rivulet, we'll click on winding. Maybe we want to search by fish, so we'll click fish, okay? And then we get our records table. At the top, you can see what you're searching by. You can sort by fish, sort by location, or sort by bait. All the button before here is doing is just taking you to a pre-filled in version at the top, right? But maybe we want to look at maybe winding and mosquito records, right? We could do that here, right? Or maybe we want to look at winding, but we only want to look at bream, right? Okay. So something like that, right? The other thing to know is that at the top, once you set this, you can set the date. So like how long the data has been. I've got the resets programmed in because the records reset every Sunday. So if you go in here and do since last reset, this is actually since the Sunday. And then you can do, days otherwise. If the last 3 days was to go over the Sunday reset, then it would also include that information. At the top here, you can also click group by fish or group by bait to switch back and forth. That's what those buttons on the locations list do. You can click here to look at all the Donitz Ruff trophies, for instance, right? Or all the Donitz Ruff that are caught, and we'll see they're ordered by weight automatically. And then group by fish, or again, group by bait here. So we want to see everything caught on a red compost worm. We could drop this down and see all these fish by weight caught on red compost worm. All these are sortable. So you could sort bait alphabetically. As always, you could also go search a bait up here. So if you wanted to say everything caught on worm, you could do that. And that will, it's not an exclusive search. So do remember that. Right now, the way I have it working is it's just going to match worm. In the future, I'm going to work on doing something like that where we can get official exacts, but we don't have that yet. That's because I think it's better to just match like as close as possible, and then you can just look for, worm here in the list. That's kind of where I'm at with it, right? You can sort and then look by worm. We've also got top baits, so if you wanted to check out and see, there's a little button there that shows you, what species were caught with what, the most caught of a species and the biggest caught of a species for the last few resets here. Basically, we make a history across the resets and save those so that we can tell you, just an idea what's been trending lately. Like if we look at bluegill, we're the most caught on worm every week, right? Every set. So typically we would think like worm's probably a good idea to catch a bluegill. That's sort of the thought process behind this. You can also, at the top, you can click on links, and you can see a list of all the links that I have set up. So if you wanted to look for, trophies or something, you could look at one of these other websites, like VK. A lot of people use VK. So then you could click VK and check out VK to see, the posts at Bear Lake. So we've already seen the locations page, but one thing else we can do is this can take us to the maps page for a map. So let's say I wanted to check out Winding Rivulet. I could click on map. This is going to pull up an interactive map for Winding Rivulet. One, if you hover over, you're going to get an accurate coordinate for the location. Two, if you click, you're going to set a location where you're going to be fishing, and then you can view a clip. You'll see here, like if I want to say, what's a 20 clip? I can do 20, pointing that direction, and I can see, where that would land, basically. So maybe I'm fishing at the point, and I want to see how far is 15, right? So then we can mark it right there. The other thing you can do is you can come up here and obviously select a different map if you wanted to do a different map. But you could also set up a marker. So, let's say I wanted to do 1550, and that's not a real spot, but I can set that basically there, and then put a clip off that, and it'll help me find it. You also get a shareable link. So when you make one of these, you can click and put it somewhere, and then you can share that with a buddy. So when they go back to the page, obviously they'll see a zoomed in version, but they'll see that same clip and location that you sent them. Trophy weights is just a simple thing we get on a lot of spreadsheets where we see the weight and the super trophy, the blue weight of every species. I've also listed their rarity by the cards in the game tell us their rarity and a card value if I have one. Please submit feedback here. If you have feedback, for instance, if you know card values that I don't have, I have not collected some of them. Now we have game info over here, so we could see a water body price map if you need to know that. I've made an interactive update history that I'm trying to keep updated. I have not updated yet, though. I will probably update when the anniversary hits for this year. But it does have, a lot of the previous updates here, so you can get an idea of, major updates on the left and minor updates on the right. Here's an alcohol chart to show you the cost per alcohol and how much you get out of it. I have a dev frequently asked questions section. So you can come here and you can type in an answer. So let's say, what have the devs said about ground bait, right? So then I can type in ground bait, hit search, and I can see, oh, these are posts the devs have answered in Q&As about ground bait. This is all made up of Q&A responses on the forums, and then a couple Discord posts I believe are also listed here. And then I've sorted these as best I could just to get an idea of where they are. But really what you would want to do is look for like, lure, and then search for things about lures, right? We've also got cafe orders. This is possible cafe orders. This is very lacking feature right now, something I'm working on. But if you have information to share, I'd be happy to take that from you. It is a little tedious to get all the cafe orders listed. In skill info, we have skill leveling guides. You can see the simple leveling guides I've made a little easier to read, added some notes about them that you might want to know. We've got a skill trees here, so you could do an example of a skill tree. For instance, let's go into spin fishing and say like, okay, I want to level up, let's do fishing with spinning rod, and maybe we want to do spinner baits, and we'll do jigging. So you can see the points, you can see the used points, the required level for these points. But what you can also do is see what's shared. So let's see, like for instance, these 2 points are shared, so we can see as we put points into them that they go into both, right? So that's nice. I got that, working. And then they also have the percentages that you unlock everything. So if you were curious about that, you can see that all here. We've got lure crafting recipes. In case you needed to know, I added a lot of the lure crafting, maybe all of the lure crafting recipes into here just so you have a reference in case you need to get them crafted or you're just curious what it's going to take in the future. Over here, we have a wear calculator. So for instance, let's say you have a Tagara 2 8K, and we'll say the item is, okay, well, that's filled it automatically, right? So we'll say, okay, my Tagara reel, my mechanism is worn, 43%. Well, that means my mechanism still has 16.57, right? Or I could say, let's see, we could say, what is the common one people want to do, right? Or the C rods. But we could do like a perking rod, right? So like a mega perk, right? I've got a mega perk and the wear is 30%. So that means I've got 69.6 left. And you'll notice that this is not a linear value. There's a formula here for how you wear. But basically, reels and rods have a 30% base strength. So that's why you can't just do a linear wear on those. Everything else in the game, as far as I know, does wear linearly. We have a reel info table. So if you need to check out any of the information about a reel that would normally be on a spreadsheet, I've aggregated them here. You can sort by most of the sizes and types. It's not perfect, but I've done a decent amount of it. And you also can change like drag ranges and things in the advanced button here. You can also compare 2 reels or up to 5 reels, I believe. But let's say I wanted to compare a Furia and a Goliath. So we would view a comparison and we could see those next to each other to see what we, quickly think about each of the things. We could go to Real Speed Calculator. I just recently added this, but this is to help you out if you've got, let's say you see a post and the guy's using a Borealica, right? Well, that's not a good example because most people aren't doing that. But let's say somebody's got a HSV, right? And he's spinning somewhere with an HSV and he's got it at 35 speed. And you're like, well, I don't know what that is, because I'm using a Venga, right? Or something like that. So let's go to Venga 10K, wherever that is. Venga 10K, right? So that's going to be a 33 speed setting on a Venga versus a 35 speed setting on an HSV. We've also got rod information. So same as the reels, we've got a big table of rods. You can search, you can sort, you can use advanced sorting to try to narrow down maybe a choice you would want. And then we're slowly adding lines and lures. This is another manual process thing. There are sorting and stuff for it, but it's pretty difficult. I had Razor X1911 help me. Sent me a bunch of the lures. I eventually stopped doing that, but I completely understand because that is a lot of work. So currently, that's all the things the site does. If you wanted to donate, you could do that. There's a donate button here for my information. Me, it's Blunty. Because I created this, I would love if you gave me a couple bucks to help out. This site will not have ads. This site will not ever be paid. There will not be a paywall on the site for extra features. I don't think that is a good way to monetize a community website. Unlike the other websites that you see, that won't be happening. It costs me somewhere around $12 to $20 a month, depending on the month and what I'm doing, to sort out to do the website, to run the website and do the scraping and everything. And I'm happy to pay that on my own. I have been doing it for months. If you wanted to support me, that would be cool. I hope we've covered everything. Again, I will say, please submit feedback if you have anything you need to do, like you need me to do rather with the website, or you want me to add that is wrong. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.